It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games. Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
It's high noon up and down the Wasatch Front, and Scotty and the coach are just getting started.
BYU and Utah State announcing a two-game series. Game 1, Utah State, BYU, December 9th in the Marriott Center. Game 2, Logan, right? No, just a little south in the Delta Center. BYU gets out of the trip to Logan, and they will go to the Delta Center instead.
The positive side, I love when these two teams play.
I do too.
This thing has changed a bunch. What it was when I got to BYU was 1 year in Provo, 1 year in Logan, and you just alternate. The crazy thing is Dave proposes Provo, Logan, and then the third in Delta Center. And, thought that would be a good thing for everybody, and learned very quickly, no, that was not a good thing. And actually, he had people would come up to him in the grocery store from Logan and say, that's really awful what you did to the Aggies.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, man. I can imagine that this will not land well.
What's wrong with my chicken?
This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard alongside the coach, Tim Lacombe, and joining us as he does every week throughout the NBA season, into the playoffs, and even into free agency as well. Kurt Helin from NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com, honorary third member of this show. Kurt, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm honored to be honorary.
Yes.
I feel like I'm getting a degree from Harvard.
Yeah, it's like there was a former football player that came back and gave the commencement speech at Utah State, and he goes, "Well, I guess everybody calls me doctor now because that's what they've given me." And he's like, "Yeah, kind of."
It's technically a doctor.
Yes. Hey, how impressed? Look, everybody likes to throw the NBA current athlete under the bus. Say they're soft. And our generation, we grew up in the 80s and 90s and watched, the Bad Boys and watched the Jordan Rules, and everybody rough each other up, and everybody played through pain. And now we're like, oh, where's that player now? Well, it might be Anthony Edwards, because I'm sure there were a lot of doctors telling him not to go. His agent probably told him not to go, but he went, played well, and it was a big win last night for Minnesota.
Yeah, he was able to get medically cleared, so it was good enough that he could manage the pain enough to be out there, a bone bruise. In some ways that's, it's not that there's other structural stuff in there, but it's somewhat about pain management. He just being out there, 18 points, second most on the team, but his boost emotionally, but also their pick and roll just looks better when he runs it, right? There's certain things that just look much smoother when he's the guy doing it. And he sparked them that's a defensive battle. Those are two really good defensive teams. Points are going to be hard to come by. And if you've got the guy who can make it easier for you, that's just a huge plus.
We were talking earlier about the Knicks. Do you feel like the Knicks are pretty much have a clear path right now to the finals out of the East?
I think the winner of that series does. You've watched it, Coach. Detroit and Cleveland don't seem to be on the same level right now, right? And Cleveland has the talent, but I'm actually going to need to see it function.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Before I fully buy in. So I think whoever comes out of that, I think you're going to get a much better Philadelphia team. They look gassed by the first quarter. Just the Game 7 hangover played 2 days later. The whole thing was kind of, and he noted on the broadcast last night, Embiid's now played 5 straight games, and he hasn't played 6 straight games since 2023.
Wow.
So physically, he's still trying to catch up. And it's every other day. And I think there's 1-2 day break late in the series potentially, but they're going to have to find a way to get their legs under them and perform better. I think you'll get a better game out of them in game 2, but man, the Knicks are rolling. And again, Coach, I'd love to get your thoughts. I love that they finally started playing through Karl Anthony Towns as a hub, kind of in a high post, and they're cutting off of him, and he's making passes. He can score, obviously. He's a great shooter, but they're using him as a hub as opposed to all the isolation stuff, and they just look so much better.
Yeah, well, that's where he really thrives, I think, is, he's not a guy who's going to back you down. He doesn't necessarily love physicality, although he has gotten tougher, I feel, in his time with the Knicks. But you're exactly right. You put him in the center of the floor where there is no designated help side, and you send cutters through his ability to pass the ball. And then he's become really great, with handoffs and that sort of thing. That's a new iteration of the game the last, 5 or 6 years, playing off those so much. So I'm with you. I think he in space and facing the basket is where he does his best work.
Yeah, it only took them like 86 games to get there, but they kind of got it.
They should have watched some of that Timberwolves film. It was all out there for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you anticipate the Western Conference and seeing how that thing is playing out right now, Minnesota is just, they're just playing tougher than everybody else.
Yeah.
And then you've got San Antonio with a elite performance defensively from Wemby, but offensively, Rudy gets into him a little bit. You got Julius Randle causing him some problems as well. How concerned are you on the offensive side if you're San Antonio against the Timberwolves?
A little bit. I mean, first off, the Randall kind of slightly smaller but really physical guys have long given Wemby challenges. Like that's the guy he hasn't necessarily completely figured out yet. At 22, we should write him off, I guess. But like they did a good job, but he was also 0 of 8 from 3 and had some good looks. De'Aaron Fox shot terribly. The physicality kind of messed with them a little bit, but I think this is the experience learning thing, right? Like Minnesota has been to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. This is a battle-tested team who came out and was ready to go at a playoff level, especially with Edwards back. And the Spurs are going to have to learn how to get there. Dylan Harper looked great off the bench. That guy is – I could not be a bigger Dylan Harper fan. But I think they learn over the series. I've got to say, I picked the Spurs in 7 if Edwards was back. I did a dual prediction because I think it's a really even series. So that's going to be interesting. And then on the flip side, Oklahoma City, I don't want to say they get to coast through, but they are going to be a little more comfortable on their side.
You mentioned the Cavs and the Pistons. I watched the Cavs game 7, and I was actually a little bit in shock at how casual they had approached the game 7 early, but they were able to kind of flip it. Do you feel like the Pistons can just kind of overpower the Cavaliers with their physicality, and that will be enough in this series?
Yeah, I think they're going to need a big series from like Jared Allen and Mobley, right? Like they're going to need that inside presence as well, and not too many disastrous Harden games. But I still think the problem with Detroit's as constructed is what we kind of knew, right? That it's a one-man show. It is a one-man show, and if it's just that, it's like Giannis before they kind of broke through the year they had Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton playing like an Olympian and all that. Like if it's just one guy, I can make life really difficult for you, and Detroit's got to find that second guy consistently.
So you blow a 3-1 advantage and you get fired if you're the head coach of Orlando. You look at what Billy Donovan's been up to and what he's turned down and then what he's walked away from. It's hard not to think that this might, especially if he gets the job, that the wheels were in motion long before they blew that 3-1 deficit.
It would not be shocking. I mean, there's no tampering in the NBA.
No,
obviously,
no,
none, zero. But,
no, especially in Portland. But yeah,
no, exactly. But there is some logic there, and Donovan it's the name everybody's been putting up. He got a lot out of. He goes back to Florida and actually keeps the job this time in Orlando. Because remember, in 2007, he took the job, did the press conference, did the whole thing, and like 6 days later, it's like, yeah, I want to go back to Florida. I'm out. And walked away. He gets a lot out of his guys. His teams tend to defend. He wanted to be in a situation where he was coaching in meaningful games again, and Orlando is certainly that. So I think from the outside, for me, that just seems like the best choice if you're going to do what it appears they're going to do, which is keep Banchero, keep Wagner, keep the core of this team together, and run it back.
Draft lottery is looming.
Yes.
And we don't love to talk about that around here. We tried to, dish it up with karma and do all the right stuff, but I think not ignoring it, but just, can't downplay it either. But we're just not going to give it a ton of attention. You got to think the math's got a math for the Jazz at some point, don't you?
You would think so. You would hope so. They deserve it. I will also Zach Harper over at The Athletic has been running a thing this week where every day he's going to Tankathon, which is the best place to find all your lottery odds. And they have a, randomizer that essentially uses the odds and just runs the lottery once. So he's just doing it once every day and saying what he got. Dallas won today, by the way.
Boy, that
really well.
You know what? The way that the NHL has taken off in popularity here, and the Jazz are struggling. If Dallas wins the lottery and the Jazz are down at 7-8,
it would be
there might be a lot of fans checking out at that point.
We'll see. That one year, one of the two Utah fell to 5 or 6, maybe. I forget off the top of my head. And one of them they think they came in fourth, third or fourth. But it's when you flatten the odds, as they've done and are about to do again, you invite the randomness and you open the door for the longer odds to jump through. Well, I'm hoping. I really want to see Utah at the top because I also think that Utah and frankly Washington's sort of in the same boat. They've done a really good job of setting up what's next. If just a little lottery luck, and suddenly you are in a very, very good position.
Kurt Helin joining us, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com. Just what kind of ramifications and just how shocking was that Boston loss, blowing that 3-1 lead?
I was pretty stunned, and they didn't have Tatum in the game 7, but I expected them to be much better, and they got exposed by a physical team, right? They got pushed around a little bit. They just didn't have an answer for Embiid and Keita, who was good all season. Frankly, looks like a solid NBA starting / rotation center. Looks just good. But Joel Embiid, when he's playing like that, is not good. And they didn't really have an answer. They didn't have the depth. And the other thing is, I think there's something to the argument that Joe Mazzulla's heavy three-point style can get a team in trouble in a playoff series if they get a little cold, which is what happened here. And not having Tatum, who was the guy who would just, even more than Brown, can just get downhill and get into the, hey, all right, that's not working. Let's just get some buckets at the basket, and kind of changes that dynamic. Not having him hurt them, but they, to use an old Chick Hearn Laker line, they couldn't throw a pea in the ocean. They couldn't make a bucket for the life of them from 3. And if you're taking 49 of them, you better make a lot of them, man.
Do we need to add Minnesota to a list of? All year long I've said that they're not contenders, but they're playing like it. And I do believe whoever comes out of the West is going to win this thing. But it looks like, certainly the Spurs and the Thunder have had great battles. But, man, the Spurs have got to get through the Wolves. And the Wolves would like another crack at the Thunder, I'm sure.
I'm sure they would. And the thing with Minnesota, when you watched them this season, they looked bored or just disinterested in the regular season for 80% of those games. There were games during the regular season that you would get at a couple points. I saw it in person once when the Lakers were kind of rolling. They're like, all right, let's get this serious. And when they showed up and were serious, you're like, oh, there's that team. There's Naz Reid off the bench, and everything that works for them looks so good. And then they just kind of they were just coasting a little bit. And boy, they haven't been coasting now, and they look like the team they're supposed to look like. And it's impressive. And I think they have like I said, I thought I had the Spurs in 7, which means I think this is a really tight series. There's a decent chance they move on and get their crack at the Thunder. And I don't know that goes as well as they'd hope, but they could get their crack at them, and they're playing well.
Well, we saw that group twice this year. The Jazz lost to the Timberwolves 147-111 on March 18th. And then in the in-season tournament, 137-97. So, yeah, we saw that locked-in group twice.
Yeah, when they're locked in, look, they made the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years for a reason, and they have that matchup versatility. They're big and they're physical, but with Edwards especially when he's healthy, but with McDaniels, McDaniels is as good a perimeter defender as there is in the league. They can throw a lot of different things at you.
So, Kurt, if you're running that Nuggets organization, is it do you tear it down and rebuild with Jokic, or how do you handle a situation that seems like it's gotten away from him?
Oh, I'd trade Jokic and just blow no.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to be banned from Dell. I think you keep Murray personally. But with all due respect to Aaron Gordon at this point, like, you're going to have to find another shot creator on the wing or something else. Look, the Murray Jokic fastball is fantastic, but you got to have an off-speed pitch, right? You can't just throw the fastball every time up. And there just didn't seem to be enough diversity. They miss Aaron Gordon when he's not out there and at like 100% because he's so much glue for them. And then, look, if they when they re-sign Peyton Watson, as they should, now they're into the second apron. Like, this is a really expensive team right now, and that's not an ownership group that's into that. So they've got some real work to do to find a way to improve that roster. They weren't in the tax this year. They might go into it next year, but they're not going to spend a ton. And you're going to have to find a way I think they're going to try to trade Christian Brown. I think that you're going to see them try to make some bold moves. And I'm not sure, like, the Jamal Murray thing is out there. I think it would take a pretty spectacular deal to make that happen.
Kurt Helin joining us, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com. When you look at the games coming up, and you've got the Lakers and Thunder coming up, Lakers, obviously, nice round one victory. How much of a series do they make against the Thunder here?
Get your bets in early.
Gentleman sweep.
That's what I predicted. If you told me it was a sweep, I wouldn't be shocked. Look, I saw them play each other twice in person, and there's just a distinct talent gap. Like, it's not close. There is a real level of talent gap. The only thing that I think could get them a couple of games would be Luka Doncic, and he's, by all accounts, not close yet. He's not running much on the court. Like, he's not doing any kind of on-court work that implies he's close to a return from a hamstring, and I'm not sure they're going to be around long enough with the plethora. That's a great word.
Nice.
The plethora of defenders that the Thunder can throw at you, because it's Cason Wallace and Dort start, and they bring Caruso off the bench, and if you get past them, by the way, you've got to run into Holmgren in the middle blocking shots. Like, they're just so good defensively, so deep, and so disciplined as a team that it's just, I don't know how the Lakers are going to score enough to make this a series.
Do you like the hire Dallas made a general manager? Seems like they've got an adult in the room now.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody that I think ownership there is getting smarter, and that they've made a couple of big smart hires lately, and that's there's a learning curve from owners about not being isolated and not listening to one voice, because you make kind of foolish mistakes.
If that voice is Adam Silver making you do it, but no. Sorry, did I say that out loud? My bad.
So the bad part out loud.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they, I think that they've gotten better about this. Also, it's a pure sign for the Mavs fans out there. No, they're not selling. Look, the Adelmans are hanging on to this thing because whatever the next develop. Look, this is a real estate deal for them long term, but they'll wait out the one they want. So, like, this isn't going anywhere. And you bring Masai Ujiri, a really smart GM, look, they've got Cooper Flagg. You've got a really good coach. You've got in Jason Kidd, you've got some nice role players. Like, you've got something to start building around. You get a lottery pick wherever it falls this year, and you start to move forward. You trade Anthony Davis. You've traded Anthony Davis. You start to move forward in a way that look, You see what it looks like next year. You've got Kyrie Irving, and you can decide between the two of you guys what you want to do with him. But like, they're in position to be really good in a few years because they've got the hardest piece to get. They've got.
Well, Kurt, we appreciate it as always, man. You're the best. Thanks for hanging out with us, and let's do it again next week.
I'll see if I can squeeze it in.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Same time, my guy.
Take care, guys.
There he is. Kurt Helin, one of our favorites right here on The Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.